Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. You can check me out on Twitter at Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley Facebook, LinkedIn Neil Haley, Instagram Total Tutor, Pinterest Neil and Google Plus, and also on Periscope at Total Tutor. I don't know. I have thousands of different places you can contact me, and that's what my whole team is always going and doing, and it's always a go, go, go. And soon you'll see it in my reality show, how my life is on a daily basis. But I want to welcome the program, Coach Karen Hall, the Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Running Rob and all those different places,
Yes.
and ESPN analyst. We have another great guest, and it's always interesting when we have an athletic director on the show.
Yeah.
That's a different component than a lot of the other components we've interviewed.
Right, so I'm excited and to welcome our guest, Amy Sheuneman, to our show.
Thank you.
Amy, welcome, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So we like to jump right into it, and most of our guests are athletes, and you're like the rest of our guests, except professionally you are on the athletic administrative side. But can you first tell us about your athletic career and how that started and why sports?
Sure. As most of your guests probably are high school athletes to start with, and so I got my foot in the door at a young age and active all the time as a youth. Aspired to play, at the high school level.
Okay.
I played at Plum High School.
Okay.
I was actually a four-sport athlete there.
Wow.
I played soccer, ran cross country, indoor track, and outdoor track. So I was pretty busy, captain of all those teams.
Okay.
So I then moved on to the collegiate aspect and continued in two sports of soccer and track.
Okay. So from high school, were you recruited?
What happened back in the time that I was in high school, they didn't have too much money to recruit women's soccer players.
Okay.
So what they had was a Whitfield All-Star game where a lot of the colleges had representatives there. So I did talk to a few of them, and Robert Morris was the one that I landed at. So that was my exposure to the local colleges.
Okay, so between high school and college, your athletic career, I've already heard some leadership in there because you talked about being captain of your high school team for 4 straight years. Can you talk about early on this leadership quality that you were already demonstrating?
I think it's just a personality type in a lot of ways.
Okay.
I like to be organized, and people need organization. So
Yeah.
they automatically follow people that
Right.
kind of know what's going on, know where to go, and tell them what to do. So I do think that is a quality trait that's sort of inherent, but also fine-tuned as you grow. And so different organizations that you're in, you're elected president or secretary or treasurer, some sort of thing, because you do the work. So those were all apparent in high school as well. So just continued as I went into college and beyond.
So the leadership process, when do you think you started becoming a leader? What age do you think that developed? Especially in sports, but what about leadership in general?
Right.
Feeling that that's something you took on as a role that you liked playing that role?
I would say probably middle school.
Okay, wow, nice.
And that would just be from teams that, I did participate on. I know you asked about sports related.
What about non-sports related?
Yeah, non-sports related.
Nothing,
Not everything's sports. What are you saying?
No.
No,
The athletic director end of things.
Yeah.
That leading to what you do today.
Yeah.
That's a lot, not just the sports end.
Yeah.
It's a lot of other
It
details. So were you the kind that when in middle school you made sure your homework came home? You made sure, how did that kind of happen? That kind of, who directed you in that way to develop those types of things? Because a leader has to be able to balance lots of things, tackle a lot of things, all that.
Right, and that's, you just said it there, as far as being organized. You can't go to 2 or 3 different practices and not get your homework done. So you have to prioritize, get it done. As far as being a leader in those classes, getting good grades, that was something that was important. And focusing on homework and studies certainly was one of my priorities. So I did do that in addition to all the other sports.
Were you modeling anyone's behavior as far as leadership? Even back in middle school, that's pretty young.
Yeah.
So were you modeling a teacher's behavior or a parent or?
I can't tell you that there's a specific person.
Sure.
It was just always working hard. And that's something that obviously was instilled from my parents. So, working hard to do your best. And, as long as I did that, I was successful. So I just continued that.
Leaders, it's good to be a leader because you influence. But leaders also, you have many hats because you have to influence it to have people follow you. But there's also a time where it's not popular to be the leader. So how do you stand in that part of leadership?
It's having a solid foundation and really being comfortable in who you are and knowing what's right. I have a strong faith in God, and that's something that I rely on in my leadership role. Because you have to be able to back up or have a reason for the decisions you make. And if you just go with the flow, as a lot of people do, then you're going to wave and fall. And so, yes, it is very difficult at times to stand against the grain, but I've always felt that it's important.
So the sports side of you was a good training ground in terms of developing your leadership style, watching other people lead, if you were understanding what you were watching, even back then. And then moving up into college. So you're in college. What were you thinking as you were matriculating freshman, sophomore, junior, senior of college as far as the next while you were a student athlete?
That's a good question. I think I probably didn't think about my future as much as I should have. It did come more in my senior year than before. Being in that role, you're always so busy, and it's difficult to think long term, especially at 19, 20, 21 years old.
That's true. I forgot. That's true.
I didn't have quite the long term focus until my senior year, and trying to figure out, what is it that I really want to do with your life after college. So whenever that came about senior year, I did do an internship as an athletic director at North Hills.
How about that?
As it was, a little full circle now. But in which case I found that position fit my strengths very well. And so therefore I was interested in that field and wanted to be, the long-term goal of being an athletic director kind of popped into my head at that time.
So how did you get an internship? Like, were you looking toward administration because you got an internship with an athletic director? So were there other internships that you looked at?
Yes, and that was something that I had to decide. The Penguins and the stadium down there were looking for an intern, so I was like kind of going back and forth of, well, do I long term want to be in a professional arena, or do I want to be in a high school, setting? So that was something I had to choose, and then there were other opportunities like YMCA's and different things. So there were other sports related fields, and I, like I said, just for my personal decision was to go and to do the internship at a high school, and obviously liked it.
So your experience, did you want to be around kids and help kids in that way of thinking about being an athletic director? What was the driving force involved to become part of that, to be in that?
A couple of things. One, just high school sports in general. It's just pure, kids, really learning and growing and performing. Something that really, I enjoyed, and so I wanted to make sure that other people had the same benefits. Some things I didn't like that I, was out to, try to improve on and teach other kids about. So those were kind of the things, and like I said, I knew it. We all feel comfortable in a thing that we've been through before. So knowing the high school aspect of the whole full circle of high school and college athletics, that is why I chose that again.
So once you had that as an internship, it's not the easiest thing just to go land an AD job.
No, it's very difficult.
What's the next step in that ladder to get to AD? What do you have to do? What did you do?
And the unfortunate part of that is there is no direct ladder. It's not that you continue, this path and you'll get there. It comes from many different angles. And so mine sprung from a opening at Avonworth High School, and I took that position out of college as a stipend, supplemental position, just paid as another coach would be paid to be the athletic director.
Wow.
Of course, I didn't make much money that year. Worked really hard and put in a lot of time and effort, and I don't want to say convinced the district, but basically convinced the district that it was a necessary position to be a full-time job, and the benefits that provides to student athletes. And so in my time there, I was there for 3 years, it did become a full-time job, in which case kind of catapulted me to the next level of going to Bethel Park. That position is still a full-time job at Avonworth, so I kind of changed that culture there.
Yeah. So, that's actually pretty good to go from your internship, even though the athletic director's job at Avonworth was a stipend, but nonetheless, it was an athletic director's position. So even then, you know, you're probably thinking, well, I won't make much money, but this is a career that I'm going to get a training ground in. Avonworth, is it still A? Class A?
AA, yes.
Okay, so you're at a, I mean, you're still at a good school, but it's sort of not high level, but it's enough to where you can get the experience.
Correct.
So did you think of it as in terms of that way, or what direction were you thinking at that time? As far as, okay, well, not high pay, but...
Well, at the time, again, you're always focused on your job at hand. So when I first started, it was learning the job. What do I have to do? What's right? How do I fix this? How to do this? I did coach at the same time. I coached soccer. So that took some of the time away from that too. But so once I learned it, then it was the time to say, okay, now I can move forward in the career and look for a larger school. So just, you know, applying and looking for certain jobs. And, you know, you have a job, so it's always the nice thing of like, you know, I can pick and choose which one I want to apply to. And so that's, you know, how
Did you have a mentor early in your career as you were beginning your athletic administration?
The athletic director at North Hills, Dan Cardone, was the one who initially got me into it. So he would always be my sounding board for questions and things. But to be quite honest, the athletic directors in the WPIL all help each other. Okay. So if there was ever a question or whatever, I could call anybody that, you know, had been there or knew the answer, and they would talk to me and help me out.
Not many people have had that kind of situation where you went right from internship to athletic director, then to that, compared to other people that they were coaches, teachers, and coaches, and then the opportunity opened up for them, right? Where someone retired and they were in that district, or they were a district in that area and confines, and then the interview process developed. So that didn't happen for you. So looking at all the other ADs that have been around for a while and different things, was that a challenge to put yourself into those meetings and different things that you didn't have the experience of some of the other ADs? When, you know, if the group WPL meetings and things like that would go on?
To be quite honest, everybody would ask me like different things, and I never felt like an outsider because I was doing the same job, and I knew I was, you know, working harder than them, and and was able to answer some of their questions. And just, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but it has come full circle. I'm actually the president of the ADs Association now.
Oh, wow.
And a mentor to many other ADs. So, you know, did I feel that I was inferior? No, you can't put yourself down to start because they will too. So, you know, if I give myself the respect, then they respected me, and I never had a problem with that.
So did you get many of the, well, you're a woman, you're an AD, did you get in many of those questions early in your career?
No, I did not. And that was something that was surprising. And people, it does shock a lot of people, but when they found out that I could do the job and I was there to support them and, you know, was very efficient in getting things done for them, they didn't care who I was.
Exactly.
All right, so Coach, we're going to take our break.
So you're watching the Neil Haley Show. We'll be right back.
This is the voice of Mr. Bold of BPTV, here to explain the basic do's and don'ts of BPTV and public access television. Number 1, public access television. Public access means that BPTV's facilities and equipment are available for any Bethel Park resident or organization to use for the purpose of making a TV program to air on our station. Number 2, not-for-profit. The nice part about this is that all of our equipment and facilities are available absolutely free of charge. Do not come to BPTV with the intention of starting your own home shopping network. Feel free to bring in your favorite waffle iron and demonstrate how it works, but do not ask Mr. Bold to help you sell your favorite waffle iron to the fine residents of Bethel Park. That will not happen. Number 3, volunteer-based production. Bethel Park Public Access Television has a friendly and helpful volunteer staff that will help you make your TV show. You are also encouraged to supply an individual who is willing to be trained on the equipment to help you tape your program. So, do expect to have all the resources and support you need to make a TV show that you will be proud of. Do not call us up like a station for hire and expect us to do everything for you. Number 4, your point of view. BPTV does not dictate or edit your program idea for content. The producer is responsible for the perspective, information, and all content included in their show. BPTV encourages you to make the type of shows you want to watch. However, Mr. Bold would like to remind you that freedom of speech is not the same as freedom from responsibility for what you say. You can say, "You, Dave Cable," but don't be surprised if you get beeped. Obscenity, threats, and slander are not protected under the First Amendment. So, do make the show that you want to watch. Do not be a schmuckatelli about it.
Welcome back to the Neil Haley Show. We are here today with Amy Sheuneman from North Hills. She is the athletic director. So Amy, let's continue. What a great story thus far as your athletic director's career. So you were part of the Bethel Park family. So how many years were you at Bethel Park as the athletic director?
10 years. Full
10
decade.
years.
Yes.
Wow. So talk to us about some of the transition that you had to take care of when you arrived there, and where it is. Well, now that you're gone, but where did you take the programs?
You know, that's a great question, and something that I'm proud of, not just myself, but our staff and our school. The whole building project, I don't know if anyone's been to Bethel Park recently, but that was a huge undertaking that, you know, consumed probably 7 of the 10 years that I was there. And that would be, you know, from the planning phases to the construction phases to the implementation phases and trying to get all the kinks worked out. So now it has top-notch facilities at every level, all right on campus, and, you know, a premier venue for a lot of events. So that's one thing that definitely can look back on and say, yeah, we were a part of. Just a great coaching staff and student athletes really get the value of high school sports. And that's something that I tried to instill in them, that we're here to make good people,
Right.
You know, through athletics. So, you know, they all bought into that. And so I think whenever kids graduate from our school at Bethel Park, that they are well equipped and prepared, you know, to deal with things outside.
And would you say that you've catapulted the program winning-wise in the 10 years?
We have been very successful, yes.
Okay.
And I don't have the exact numbers. I was never one to attribute success to numbers. But I know we had 2 national champions in hockey and cheerleading. We did have a state finalist in football. I think there were 10 Whitfield championship teams. We've had a number of individual Whitfield champions in swimming and wrestling and track and so forth. And then obviously countless section titles. So all of that did happen in the last 10 years.
So how did you instill that? So was when you got there, was Bethel Park winning like they are?
Well, certainly I didn't come in and turn a switch. I mean, it was something that had been in the works, you know, getting the right athletes and the right training translates to wins as well. When I first came, there was a great group of kids and student athletes that, you know, from the soccer to basketball to boys volleyball and swimming and all girls basketball that won the championship a few years ago. These are all programs that have developed and have had their systems in place that, you know, once the right talent comes along, the success translates.
How about buy-in from the community? I mean, you have their sons and daughters at the school. You have them a part of your Department of Athletics. How about their buy-in? Were they, oh, great, this is wonderful? Or did you have to do some convincing and negotiating and try to get the community to buy into your changes and your thoughts and vision?
I would say for the most part they bought in. You're always going to have a few people who want things to be the way they were. But and once they see that, you know, everywhere, like people, like our teams would go, people would be complimentary of our students' behavior and things like that. And we really did take pride in that. So we wanted to be a part, you know, the people talk about positively, you know, and in some of my programs, you know, that are sent out to other for the sports, say, that our goal is that everybody can serve as a positive role model, and that's including our students, our coaches, and our fans.
So you have your coaches, student, fans visibly living out the mission and the vision of Bethel Park Athletics. What'd you say?
For the most part,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Yes,
Okay.
we did.
Okay, I get excited, it's TV. But so in the WPIL, are the athletic director staff filled with assistant athletic directors, or is it just athletic directors?
Every school is different.
Every school is different?
Yes.
Okay. So at Bethel Park, what was did you have a staff?
At Bethel Park, I started with myself and my secretary and like a middle school coordinator.
Okay.
By the time I left, we did have a full-time assistant.
Okay. But every WPIL school is different.
Yes, some incorporate different
Depends
faculty
on the budgeting.
managers. Faculty managers, how their school is set up, or union contracts or things like that.
Okay.
Leaving Bethel Park only after 10 years. A lot of people say was the reason you said you had your internship in North Hills. Where did you go to high school?
Plum.
So why North Hills and the transition? A change, another challenge for you?
It is something, and I try to incorporate this, that if you're not stretching, you're not growing.
Right.
And I think it was Bethel Park is in a great position right now.
Okay.
I did receive a call from the superintendent at North Hills whenever their athletic director resigned, and talking to him, and just felt like it was God opening a door for me, and so talked with my family and took the opportunity to hopefully turn around another program.
What are some challenges as you walk into North Hills?
I mean, the challenge is going to get to know everybody. It's a profession of relationships, and so it takes time to build relationships. And so, learning their systems. Obviously, the job is the same, but different nuances to every district is going to be, a transition there to learn their system, incorporate things that I want to incorporate, and then also get to know everybody. So those are the things that.
And how would you compare the two districts?
We can't compare. Every district's an individual district.
But based on the specific, I mean, I guess the history of North Hills football back in the day with how good it was.
Sure.
And the basketball was pretty good this year. And so, and the expectations are high again for that. I mean, the boys basketball team in general, with how they did pretty well in North Hills. But the program's not back to where the football from years ago when they were like the best in the U.S. So how do you look at the way that community North Hills has changed in the last 20 to 30 years to now trying to put together what you put together in the program in Bethel Park at the same in North Hills and turn it around?
Well, I think some of the things that come to mind right away is obviously the new classification will change some of that. Being in 5A, North Hills now has a completely different schedule and different opponents than in the previous decade. And I won't say names, but avoiding some of the perennial powerhouses that they might have faced in the past. So that hopefully will spark an interest in kids wanting to play football, being a part of that, and turn around the program. In general, though, I think leading every program further in improvement is a key goal. So where North Hills was known for football, we want North Hills to be known for everything.
Sure.
And so you mentioned basketball, and that's one that we can again, I'll say ride the coattails, but get kids to see some of that success and want to be a part of it and put the time and effort in and work at the youth levels and
work
the
on
middle
facilities,
school.
improving facilities and
feeder systems into pipelines into each of your programs.
Yes.
So would you consider the reclassification good for Western PA athletics, or
confuse people rivalries for sure?
How would you view that?
I would say, well, it's yet to be seen. I think we need to go through, a year or two to see how it actually pans out. There's obviously pluses and negatives to it. As you just mentioned, losing some of those rivals, not allowing all the football games to be held at Heinz Field, and so there are some downfalls to that. There may be some benefits as far as be closer in competition. You still always have those better schools and the worse schools, but maybe a little bit more closer competition as far as in their talent.
Do you see yourself ever being an AD in college?
People have asked me that.
That door ever opens up.
To be quite honest, probably not. It's a completely different track. It's a different. Well, it's the same title. It's a different position. And again, going to, they wouldn't look at me anyway at a high Division I or college like that. So then you're going back to Division II, III, and work your way back up. So.
And it's a different game.
It is a different game.
It's a different business, a different situation.
Yes.
Budgeting's far different, and the thought process.
Expectations and different things like that. So.
Would you entertain the opportunity if it?
Are you offering?
Not at this point, but would you entertain that? Never say never?
I would never say never, but I'm not looking for it at this point.
It just if the door opens, it opens, and that's pretty much the So what now? Let's look at when you were at Bethel Park as the head of AD and how you're PR. Were you ever active on social media at all with different things or or were you pretty much out there, being willing to talk about specific things, because we know how important high school sports are in Western Pennsylvania, and you have to have a person who's
absolutely
that not mouthpiece, but someone to really represent the program at times in different places.
And I was at almost every event and trying to you always talk to parents and people, and I had an open door policy. If people wanted to come in and talk, they certainly could.
Okay.
We started a Twitter account 2 years ago, so that was something that has been picking up, and we do have the website. Obviously, it's part of the district website, so it's not quite as athletic as it could be, but and then just promoting our kids at all-star events and things like that. So. And
then that's what we'll be trying to do at North Hills, right? Is there a place we can follow you and stuff, or are you?
North Hills A&A, Athletics and Activities. North Hills A&A would be the Twitter handle. And right now there's a great website, northhillsathletics.org. So if you want to check those out, those are things that we'll be updating frequently and taking care of, just promotion of like the student athletes, like we mentioned before. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Kevin Dietrich has done a great job there and really got that underway and started. So I'm looking forward to just expanding on what he's already started.
Great.
Awesome. And again, that's who was in your conference now with North Hills
for football?
Football.
Football is the West Allegheny, Char Valley, Upper St. Clair, Woodland Hills, Hampton.
Holy cow, so that's travel. I just think of North Hills to Upper St. Clair and the Hills, and
Yeah, it's a little spread out.
It's just
and there's some good football teams.
Oh, you put Woodland Hills
and it's still going to be very competitive.
Put West Allegheny and you have a pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be competitive. Yes,
it'll be interesting. I'm sure that's what people will be starting to break down very soon with training camps starting and all that. High school football, and how can they figure out who's going to win these different classifications.
Well, this year more than any,
They really put it out there and then seeing what that brings to the table. So, well, thanks for definitely stopping by and saying goodbye, I guess, to Bethel Park in the studios. And even though we're on all over the world, it's interesting, another Bethel Park connection.
Yes, we had Jonah Hemrick on.
Oh, great.
Our show. She's been on a few months ago.
Yeah. I think it's been long a few months.
I just was
6 months or 9 months, it's a blur of everything. But thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right, that was the Neil Haley Show, guys. Take care. We'll see you next week.